It is a $30 billion industry, and a lot of the institutions that rely heavily on international students, they're starting to see the impacts and having to cut back, laying off their professors and cutting down programs. How do you ensure that the few international students we are still admitting are getting that quality of education that we had before?
Those are two separate but related questions. On the first one, yes, $30 billion is what is often cited. I've characterized that in the past, I think fairly, as short-term gain with a lot of long-term pain people haven't thought through. My question is, who takes care of those kids? I say kids in a respectful fashion because they're a young cohort of the population, very bright, looking to come to Canada to get one of the top educations in the world. And then after 3 years, if they're all going into one sector of the industry, having paid out $100,000 to go and work in the restoration business, there are better ways, if there are labor shortages in that area, to get people in the country without asking them to spend $100,000. I think you'll agree with me on that. So who did what with the money? What purpose was that used for the institutions that have bolstered or filled their coffers on the backs of international students? It's not an equal discussion. There are some institutions that have been very responsible. There are some that have been irresponsible entirely and have taken people for a ride as part of a racket, and there's some people that are in between. And I think reducing the volume, making sure that the quality proposition in this international visa program is one that we can be proud of, is the first step. That way, we ensure that those people that are bringing institutions, colleges, some of them that are the pride of our nation, are ones that need to accompany these students better in their educational experience, so that we don't have tens of thousands claiming asylum after the first year or after the 3-year period because they feel they can't have any other prospect in Canada. That was not the nature of the program that we put into place in the first place. So there's some responsibility here to go around, and I think what we're seeing is institutions adapting, and I acknowledge that this year and the next year will be one of turbulence, but bringing the numbers down I think is very important to making sure that we aren't simply chasing short-term gain for a lot of long-term pain. Because my question to those institutions is at what point did you realize you were taking part in a racket? And that's not a question that I've heard the answers to, but it is part of a process of acknowledging that there's some responsibility here, and that there's some responsibility to educate these young, bright minds that are essential to making the workforce younger, which is a huge generational challenge of all of us if we want, as we age into our later years, to be taken care of as part of a tax base, or people that are able to generate revenue for Canada and make Canada even better than it is today. So this is a much broader conversation than simply an immigration challenge, but I think by answering that first question, it allows me to answer your second question, which is we need to take care of these people when they come in here, or so that at least they have the sense of what they are getting into when they come to Canada. And that hasn't always been the case. This is not a backdoor opportunity to immigrate to Canada. It is a visa program that aims international excellence. And in that case, we owe it to ourselves to look at the quality proposition that's being offered, and right now it isn't where I think it should be. And I think most institutions would agree with me. That includes BC, but it includes every other province that has had international students going to it.